July of 2016, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th attack using trucks.
Yeah.
And right now, that is the vehicle of choice. And in case you're at home saying, don't overreact, it's no big deal, what are the chances of you getting hit by a terrorist? If you're in any of these cities, Stockholm, Nice, Berlin, London, twice, Barcelona, and now New York City, and you got run over, one of your relatives was run over by a radical, a jihadist, then I think you would take this a lot more personal. And I think everyone has to understand, with those 8 people dead, they're all, that's all of our family, and that has to stop. It is not everybody's right to come here. It's Americans' idea, American citizens' security first. And there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, now let's start bringing in some of our guests and analysts today. Joining us right now with more is retired CIA officer and author of Jawbreaker, Gary Berntsen, joins us right now from down in Tampa. Hey,
good morning, Steve.
Gary, good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. What do you think?
Well, I think that, as you've stated clearly, the diversity program on the visas has got to be shut down. Uzbekistan, in particular, has a history of jihadism. There was an organization there that was founded years ago called the IMU, the Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan. There's a place in Uzbekistan called the Fergana Valley where Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and I think and Kazakhstan all meet together. Excuse me, Tajikistan, they all meet together. But that is a group of Deobandi terrorists. They were married to the Taliban. We've fought them before. A lot of these people have been inside Afghanistan. And the fact that we would have a diversity program open to allow people to come in, it's insane. The president's inclinations at the time of the election to reduce the amount of immigration is correct. His instincts were correct.
Well,
we
Gary,
need to increase vetting.
Sure. If there's a problem, though, with Uzbekistan, why was that not on the list of the countries that we have an extra look at?
Well, I think, it takes a lot of specific expertise in some of these areas. Look, that organization was formed about 40 years ago. The Deobandis are a virulent form of Islam, just like the Wahhabis. They're the group closest to the Wahhabis. The Uzbek government's helped us over the years, and the Uzbeks will help us right now. They are a pro-Soviet, institution. The government is not pro-Soviet, pro-Russian, excuse me. But the fact is we have pretty good relationships with the Uzbeks, and the Uzbeks will do what we need to dig out his history there and to share that with us, because it's not just the last 7 years. It's who are his family members? Does his family have a history of this? What did he do here?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have been on there, but you just have to understand that Uzbekistan isn't the Bahamas, okay? And we got to make sure that we are doing the vetting, and that's what's failed. We've failed to vet people, just like the UK has failed to vet people. The UK is talking about resettling tens of thousands of these people.
And guess who's leaving us naked? These judges, who says it's un-American to judge people and to do extreme vetting in certain areas and not other areas.
These jihadists want to use American infrastructure, law, benefits to survive in our environment to do attacks on us. And it's horrible that 15 years after, 15 to 16 years after 9/11, we're still having to argue these points to get Americans to and to get the left in the United States to open up to this and make sure that we institute laws that do everything to protect these families.
Gary, what struck me... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The diversity visa program, the reason this was even established is to offer to countries with low rates of immigration into the United States. Does that seem like a good enough reason to allow 50,000 foreigners, random foreigners, into our country?
We're the most diverse country in the world. What do we need a diversity program on visas? The most diverse county in the world is Queens County in New York. It's like we don't need additional programs to gain diversity. We're the most diverse people there are.
Gary, you know what's the most the things has changed? When we first started interviewing you, you talked about being on the ground as one of the first units to go after bin Laden, a Sunni Salafist extremist who has a design to destroy the West. Now, these same people are here, only instead of having CIA-trained agents, paramilitary out there, we're asking police officers to do the shooting and the killing. Is that fair?
Well, it's not an issue of whether it's fair or not. The issue here is to ensure the survival of the largest number of our citizens in these types of encounters. Individual police officers have to jump into action. They cannot wait for SWAT to arrive. And the very, very brave men and women of law enforcement have stepped up and done a wonderful job. Right. And my heart goes out to them and to their families because they are on the front lines.
Sure.
An average police officer is the most likely person to confront one of these people, not some CIA officer or FBI officer on a SWAT team. It's going to be a regular police officer in a squad car, maybe with his or her partner. And they've got to be ready for this. So every day that they wake up, they kiss their families goodbye. Maybe it's a day they don't come home.
Well, there was one in that block yesterday when he crashed into the bus. Gary, we thank you very much for joining us live.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
You bet. And by the way, just a word of explanation of that video of that parking lot. Next time we show it, just know that that white minivan, the white Toyota Sienna, that apparently, that car right there next to the darker one with Florida plates, that is believed to have been the car that Seyfulo Saipov used to, he parked it right there and then walked about 50 feet into Home Depot and rented the flatbed truck that he then killed 8 people.
I tried to rent a Home Depot truck, and they told me if I didn't buy something there, I couldn't rent it. And I wonder if the rules changed on Long Island from New Jersey, but...
Well, according to their website, $75 down and then $19 for 75 minutes.
They'll get that store video to see if you did buy something. They'll know something.